The Central Bank of Nigeria has directed all banks to close all cryptocurrency accounts with immediate effect. The Apex Bank ordered all deposit money banks, non-bank financial institutions, and other financial institutions to identify all individuals and entities transacting in and operating crypto exchanges within their respective systems and ensured that such are closed. Well, in a release by the CBN on Friday, it references January 12th to 2017 circular, where it warned about the risks of cryptocurrencies. Any breach of this directive, the central bank says, will attract severe regulatory sanctions. Well, joining us to discuss this is financial journalist Osato Goubadia. Good morning to you. Welcome to the morning show. Thank you for joining us. If we were to start here with this ruling, tell us more about it itself. Is it a total ban? Is it not? I don't know if you were watching the morning show yesterday, but I was presenting with my colleague Indi Amugo, and he said that with the conversations he has, it doesn't constitute a total ban, whereas my interpretation is that it definitely is. So first and foremost, bring us in on how this affects the average person.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me. So yes, it's not a total ban on crypto. So essentially, what was happening, for the past about half a decade now, people have been trading crypto on two platforms. There's the informal trading, which can happen anywhere. It can happen on WhatsApp, it can happen on Telegram, it can happen on the road. I can just meet you and exchange crypto for Naira with you. And in recent times, there has been a more formal approach to it. So companies have come up and have kind of provided a framework, a trusted framework where two parties can trade with each other. So you trade Naira for crypto. So now, and so for those formal entities, they had, an account with the banks, so that they can send and receive Naira from people who want to exchange Naira for crypto. So what the CBN's ban has done, it has basically banned those formal exchanges from the banking system, so they cannot have accounts with the bank, and even any informal trader that the banks are able to identify, those will be banned as well.
All right, so you know that this directive has generated a lot of mixed reactions from many Nigerians, especially among our youth population, who in fact take up the larger percentage in cryptocurrency trading. They've all condemned it, and the former vice president of Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar, has called on the bank to revisit the directive, stating that it is the wrong time to introduce policies that will restrict the inflow of capital into Nigeria. Now, for the benefit of our viewers, what is the economic implication of this directive?
Right. So when I heard about the ban on Friday, I was shocked, and I was shocked for two reasons. One, like you rightly said, is the impact on actual businesses, the economy, and the second is that it kind of came out of the blue. So let's start with the first. In the past few years, I'll say 1-2 years, our high growth tech sector has been one of the areas that have given us hope, to be honest, not just as young Nigerians, but as a country as a whole. While other sectors have been struggling, we've seen that sector attract more foreign investment over time. We hear the government talk all the time about how they want to diversify from oil. That sector was one of the key sectors we are hoping to help us do that. We heard about the Stripe's acquisition of Paystack barely a few months ago, and everyone was proud about it. And even government officials were proud to see that a couple of young Nigerian boys could create a company in 5 years that is more valuable than some banks. So there was a lot of upward energy in the ecosystem. Things were looking good. Despite the risks of investing in Nigeria, right? Obviously, the risks slow down investment. We have the foreign exchange rate. We know the risk associated with investing in Nigeria. Regulatory risk has become more pronounced, right? The idea that regulators can, overnight cause you to change your business model entirely, right? We saw this with the ride-hailing companies last year, where those guys too, there was a lot of momentum. Foreign investors were pouring millions of dollars into those into Nigeria through those companies. And then, there was a regulatory move that basically banned their motorcycles from one of their biggest markets, Lagos. And that caused a lot of those companies to, in fact, I think the major companies all had to pivot away from that business. They all had to strategize about, okay, what else can we do with this money? So that was the regulatory risk that really, made investors worried. Again, with crypto, we've seen more investment into crypto coming in. Big, huge global entities are backing Nigerian crypto companies, putting money into them. It's a good momentum. When those big players do it, people follow. So there was that upward momentum, and then this kind of just threw that on the side. So I was shocked for that reason. But the second reason I was shocked was because, CBN knows about crypto, right? We've been having these discussions about crypto CBN for a while now. In 2017, about 4 years ago, the CBN issued a circular to the banks saying that, these crypto platforms, you can engage with them, but that's at your own risk, right? So make sure that they have the adequate anti-money laundering and and frameworks to combat terrorist financing. Make sure they have those frameworks and don't do business with them unless you are sure they have those frameworks, right? So in that way, CBN was indirectly regulating these crypto companies. Now, what we have seen, on what we saw on Friday, was CBN taking that right, or that authority away from the banks and essentially saying, they're banned. So that was shocking, right? We thought the CBN was going to use the approach of indirectly regulating these crypto exchanges, and there's talks about the SEC coming in to regulate these crypto exchanges. So to just wake up on Friday and hear about a complete and total ban from the financial system was shocking.
Do you think that it was justified in any way, especially when you look at the risks? On the front page, actually, of this day newspaper today, the lead story there is that the FBI warned the federal government as well as the Central Bank of Nigeria that scammers were using cryptocurrency to carry out fraud, saying that, doesn't that justify the shock decision to many that the CBN took?
So two things I'll say about that. One, fraud happens in the banking system. In the traditional banking system, fraud happens, right? A lot of fraud happens. So the fraud risk is there in the financial system in crypto, right? So now what the government has done now, what the central bank has done now, is not, what they have done is affect the formal players, right? Make no mistake about it, crypto will still be traded in Nigeria, right? We're the second largest users of crypto in the world. That is not going to, die because of this circular. What the impact of this circular is that those formal exchanges, right, that the CBN and the regulators could kind of indirectly control or even directly control and use to prevent those risks, right, they have kind of thrown them to the side, right? They've thrown the baby out with the bathwater. So it's going to go back to the informal sector where I can meet you on the road and exchange crypto with you and buy your crypto from you or give you crypto. So that's what has happened. It has not, we've kind of pushed the sector back into an informal space. In the formal space, a lot of these crypto companies, at least the major ones in Nigeria, have spoken representatives from the major ones in Nigeria today, and a lot of them were pushing for regulation, to combat money laundering and this risk you mentioned. Now, there's still some work going on with that and the SEC. But even before that, some of these companies are international. They operate in other countries, right? So until Nigeria had their own regulation, they were applying the best practices from those countries to kind of work with it. So right now, today, most of the major crypto exchanges in Nigeria today will ask you for your BVN before onboarding you onto their platform, right? Some of them even report suspicious transactions to the NFIU, right? So there's risk everywhere. The approach we normally use to manage this risk is to regulate, give them criteria, manage these risks, not throw the baby out with the bathwater. So that was shocking.
Yeah, so I like the fact that you're talking about regulation because, under that 2017 circular, the CBN is saying Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies are not legal tender in the country. I think that, we'll have to go on a break shortly, but if you can answer in about 1 minute, We're seeing our neighboring countries like Ghana and Senegal embrace this type of trading for the ease of doing business. Now, tell us, more about how we can regulate the currency so that it can benefit all of us.
Right. So the way we can do it actually is through these platforms. Right, that's the only way we can do it. We need these exchanges to do it. Right, a lot of crypto trading happens outside these platforms, and there's nothing you can do about that. Right, they're not registered companies. You can't really control them. But the way you can do it is through these platforms. So it was shocking that CBN decided to kind of do away with that. Kind of informalize the sector and like everyone go back to the informal way of doing things.
Mr. Osato, if you could just hold your thought there, we're going to go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue on the conversation. Do stay with us.
Well, welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. We are still discussing the decision by the Central Bank of Nigeria to ban tentatively cryptocurrencies. We are joined by financial journalist. I hope you're still there. I'm so sorry we had to break into your answer there. I'll give you the opportunity to land on your point before I ask my next question. Please do go ahead. Right.
Thank you. So what I was saying was that the CBN's best chance of regulating cryptocurrency in any way is through these exchanges, right? That were on the banks. I mean, if you look at it, the cryptocurrency it's past the stage where any entity can regulate it, right? Entities in the financial system globally, they've gone through this process, right? They've started with being afraid of crypto, right? And right now, they're at the point where at least the leading ones in the West, there are the points where they're thinking of, okay, banning cryptocurrency is not really a viable option. Let's think about, okay, what else can we do, right? So you're hearing some talk of these players of central banks wanting to enter the cryptocurrency space, right? Launch their own cryptocurrency. We are hearing talk of, Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan are about to launch their own crypto trading desk, right? After many years of saying, Bitcoin is a scam, all sorts of things, right? What's happening is that people are starting to understand more on what crypto is, right? When we initially heard of crypto, it's easy to brush it off as just another Ponzi scheme without actually understanding what it is, what it does, and what it isn't, and how you can regulate and control it. An approach to regulating them definitely is actually keeping them on the system. That's important if you want to regulate crypto in any way.
Indeed, but it seems as though there seems to be a gap between understanding what the problem is and remedying it. So, as I said in the first question, the FBI had warned the CBN, and in addition to that, we know that Christine Lagarde, leader of the European Central Bank, said the same thing. She said it was reprehensible activity that was happening with cryptocurrency, that it was facilitating money laundering, and that there were many loopholes caused or being exacerbated or being taken advantage of by cryptocurrency, and said loopholes need to be closed. I know you mentioned Paystack and Flutterwave. How are those companies affected by this decision? Because ultimately, it's not as if they are cryptocurrency companies themselves, while they are still tech companies. How does one affect the other? And then again, going back to the risk and regulation, do you feel as though this decision was unjustified, especially with the likes of the FBI and the European Central Bank lending their voices to saying that Bitcoin or these cryptocurrencies are facilitating bad behavior, illegal activity, and something must be done about it?
Right. To answer your last question first, nobody wants bad activity, right? Nobody wants money laundering or terrorist financing on any platform, crypto or digital or traditional banking systems. And who doesn't want that? Who really doesn't want that is the crypto exchanges, right? Because these people are backed by global. I mean, we're talking about one of the major crypto exchanges in Nigeria is backed by Y Combinator. For those who don't know, Y Combinator is one of the most authoritative bodies in the tech space globally, right? So the last thing that anybody wants is to be associated with money laundering or financing of terrorism, and that is why these companies are kind of enacting proactive regulation even before the regulators come in and say you must do this, you must do that, right? So that's what's happening, right? They were getting their books in order so that they have what regulators want. But so that by the time regulators say that, okay, you must have this information, they already have it. That's what's happening. So we're expecting regulation. right? Don't get me wrong. But now a a prohibition, like I said, is counterproductive, right? What you should do to address the FBI's concerns, what we would have expected would be maybe fast track the regulation of the sector, right? That could be one way. In any case, what needs to happen is that there needs to be a conversation between the banks, the crypto platforms, and central bank. And they need to, look at how they can, address some of the concerns that the CBN has, right? And I think that would happen with the crypto exchanges still being part of the banking system for sure. Now to go to how this affects Paystack and Flutterwave, to the extent that they help to facilitate crypto trading, crypto payments, they will be affected, right? So if somebody wants to pay Naira into a crypto account, they might be affected. But the main the main companies that this circular affects are the crypto exchanges. Those are the former businesses that are going to be struggling and having to rethink their business model after this, especially because in 2017, the stance of the CBN was that, hey, just control these risks, control the AML and CFT risks, and then you can stay in business, right? So a lot of them built their business model on that platform of controlling those risks so they can stay in business. Now, and they've raised money from investors, international investors, for this purpose. And now, since Friday, they're having to rethink their strategies on a whim. But I hope that there can be some resolution, because that's what works for everybody.
Well, like we said earlier, that 2017 circular again warned against the use of these virtual trading platforms because obviously the virtual currency are largely untraceable and anonymous. Now, if you would recall, the CBN and the federal government had alleged that some money used to finance the NSAS protests were illegal. And now, can you really say that you were shocked? I mean, we could see that also in Kenya, this cryptocurrency was banned as well.
Right. So, there's talk about, Kenya, China, all those countries. But what I want to focus on is Nigeria and our own specific situation, right? This regulatory U-turn, because that's what it is, right? It's the opposite of what the circular said in 2017. This regulatory U-turn, right, is going to adversely affect our growing tech sector. We want to diversify from oil. We want sectors like this to give us that hope of diversifying from oil, right? So I'm not sure what we want to do is to be killing that sector, right? Regulate it, fine, right? But kill it, nobody benefits from that at all, right? Forget about what's happening in China, forget about what's happening in Kenya. They have their own priorities, their own goals. But for us in Nigeria, I can't see how it makes sense. I can't see how prohibition is going to be better than regulation.
So it's very easy to see what side of this argument that you're on, and you're definitely for regulation. You have conceded that there are risks associated with cryptocurrency, as there are risks associated with traditional forms of financing and traditional money. There are risks, definitely. So when it comes to let me not speak, speculatively. But if we were talking about regulation, what form would that look like? What would it look like? How would we expect, or how can you expect the authorities in charge to regulate a cryptocurrency like this? Do you even think that the conversation is open to it, or do you think that for the foreseeable future this ban will stay in place?
Right. So, with regards to whether the ban will stay in place, I haven't spoken to anyone in CBN about this, but I've spoken to some financial journalists who have, and the sense is that at least some people in the CBN have quite a sophisticated understanding of crypto, right? So that gives me hope. That's one thing that gives me hope. Another thing that gives me hope is that like I said, you quoted what the FBI said earlier, and so to address those concerns, it makes sense for us to be on the same page, right? For the crypto platforms, the banks and the CBN to be on the same page to actually solve that problem. It's more difficult to solve the problem without the crypto platforms. Now, you mentioned earlier about how cryptocurrency is anonymous or pseudonymous. Yes, it is. Like without the exchanges, it is anonymous, right? It's very difficult to tell who is trading. Now, that's not entirely the case, and I'll give one example. I don't know if you remember, if we go back to last year, the Twitter accounts of everyone from Elon Musk to Kim Kardashian, I think Kanye West. I mean, a lot of high profile. I think Barack Obama was even involved. The Twitter accounts were hacked by some fraudsters, and they told them to send the money to some. They told them their Twitter followers to send Bitcoin to a.
Mr. Goubadia, I'm so sorry to have to interrupt you. We have come to the end of our time required for this conversation. It's been riveting, though. Oji and I have definitely both enjoyed this, enjoyed your words and your arguments. Thank you very much for your time.